Hey guys, so I talked about this, or I briefly mentioned this during my video where I was asking, what's all the hate for AEW about lately? Well, basically talking about the hate that AEW is getting. And the reason I brought this up was because on the day I talked about it is the day this news broke, and that was this past Wednesday. And that is, of course, the fact that Paul Wight, the Big Show, or formerly the Big Show, formerly the Giant in WCW, where he got his start, has signed a long-term multi-year deal with All Elite Wrestling. Now, my synopsis or speculation, I should say, or my opinion in theory on that term, or that multi-year term, is the fact that he signed for about 3 years. The reason I bring that up is because multi-year contracts without the long-term usage is usually about 2 years, with a third or fourth year as an option. So I'm looking at potentially him being there for 3 years. Now, the role that Big Show is going to be mostly focused on or put into is that of a commentator for the new AEW Elevation. I guess that's what it's called, AEW Elevate or Elevation, that's going to debut in several weeks. Elevation, if you will, it's supposed to be like a companion piece or a companion show to AEW Dark. Whether or not this means they're going to utilize Elevate as a way to cut back on the number of matches that they put on AEW Dark, it's hard to say. I mean, they could still potentially put a lot of matches on AEW Dark and, do the same, and potentially probably do the same with, AEW Dark Elevate. Now, Elevate, let's talk about Elevation, I think, as it's what it's called, Elevation. Let's talk about that for a second. Elevation sounds like to me like it's going to be the next step. Like AEW Dark is basically an opportunity for a lot of, independent wrestlers that are not AEW contracted to show what they can do in front of the world, in front of a national YouTube audience. And Elevate, I believe, or Elevation, I think, is going to be a show to where those that impress, very well on Dark will use Elevate or Elevation to be the stepping stone to primarily going to Dynamite. So, for example, one person that, if you're a wrestling fan and you're somebody that basically is a fan of Wrestling with Regret, hosted by Brian Zane, then you'll know that Levi Shapiro, the Wrestling with Regret YouTube champion, as well as as far as I know, the current United Wrestling Network television champion, and the former APW Internet champion, or Worldwide Internet champion, recently made his debut on AEW Dark and will be returning to AEW Dark this Tuesday, tomorrow night. And, Levi's one of those talents that you would hope would get noticed by a major organization and given an opportunity to shine. Now, with that said, basically, that's kind of what AEW Dark is, and AEW Dark Elevate is going to basically be, I guess, the next stepping stone, or it could be in reverse. It could be in reverse, and what I mean by in reverse, I'm talking about the fact that Elevate could be the first step to Dark, and Dark could be the next step to Dynamite. We'll have to see. But either way, both are going to complement each other. Both are going to integrate storylines into each other as well as into Dynamite and into pay-per-views. So there's that. But as far as the Big Show, Paul Wight, goes, his role will basically be to provide commentary along with Tony Schiavone when it comes to AEW Dark Elevate or Elevation. But the other thing that he will be able to do, and they acknowledge this, is that Big Show, Paul Wight, will be wrestling. Now, we're not sure how much he will be wrestling. A lot of people have said that they would prefer him not to wrestle as much and just focus primarily on being a behind-the-scenes mentor mentor, ambassador, a trainer maybe, someone to, give his experience, pass his, be someone that can pass his experience on to, other future talents, in the AEW locker room. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are still wondering exactly what happened, what caused, Paul Wight to have a falling out with WWE. Well, apparently last month, or 2 months ago now, during the Legends Night in January, which was his last appearance on WWE television, Paul was not happy. He made it very clear that night that he wasn't happy with his position in the company, maybe even his pay. But the other thing that really tipped him to want to, leave the WWE and go elsewhere was when WWE decided to cut back on the third-party advertisements, like basically, shut down any opportunity superstars have to, make a shout out or show support for third parties, or even be able to utilize, things like Twitch and Cameo and all that to be able to interact with fans and maybe make some money on the side. Paul Wight wasn't happy about that, because one of the things Paul wants to do, apparently, is host a Twitch gaming channel. And as long as he's with WWE, that's not going to happen. So that, along with, like I said, his displeasure of his positioning in the company, is what led him to decide, hey, I want out. I don't want to be here anymore. I'm going to go elsewhere. And how this was confirmed for a lot of us, but at first we didn't know it, was on Friday, or not this past Friday, but a week ago this past Friday, when his profile was moved to the WWE alumni page very quietly, and then almost 5 days later, this announcement came out. And it was a big announcement, because I looked at that on Twitter. I was like, well, wait a minute. I'm like, excuse me? Wait a minute, huh? I was like, what? What? I couldn't believe it. And this is a surprise that takes place in the day and age where surprises are very hard to come by. Because of the internet leaks out all the information. But for me, just like everybody else that saw this, it was a shock of, what? What? Excuse me? Because like everybody has mentioned, as I mentioned earlier, everybody thought Paul Wight was, a WWE. Well, I didn't mention earlier because I'm redoing this video, but everybody pretty much thought Paul Wight, the Big Show, was WWE for life. He was a lifer. They didn't expect something like, someone like him to jump ship, but yet here he is. Here it is. So yeah, it was, he really, Paul Wight himself really just blew us all away with this. It's like, whoa, we didn't see this coming. And this is one of those legitimate shocks, like I said, that you rarely get in wrestling nowadays, because the internet is so well renowned for basically leaking out information before it even becomes officially known. And something like this with Paul Wight was one of those moments that were like, oh, well, excuse me? I mean, everybody that I watch here on YouTube, from JD, from NY206, to Just Alex, to the Schleg Daddy OTRS Central, to Brian Zane, all of us were legitimately shocked. I mean, even the Schleg Daddy is like, he's talking about it and thinking, and he's bringing up all these, memes that people, these little joke memes people would put up because they want certain wrestlers in AEW. Like, they'll say so-and-so is all elite, this so-and-so is all elite, or this person's all elite. He brought up the fact that when he saw Paul Wight being described as all elite, it's like, at first you think that's a joke, but then you find out it's reality. And he brought up the same thought process a lot of us had was, oh, Paul Wight would never leave, Big Show would never leave WWE and go all elite. Yes, he did. And yeah, it was a genuine surprise. And like I said, a surprise in a day and age where you can't really get those anymore. You can't. So we'll see what happens. A lot of people are also pinpointing out the fact that he's debuting, or at least going to be shown in some capacity, on the same night that Shaquille O'Neal is going to make his in-ring debut in that mixed tag match against Cody, which, you know, Shaq's teaming up with Jade and Cody's teaming up with Red. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. My thought process is he'll probably be on camera, but it'll be through an interview, like a sit-down interview. And they might save his in-ring appearance or his in-person appearance maybe for Revolution. That's when I think they might do it. Or they might even save it for Double or Nothing. Who knows? Well, he's going to be in person anyway when he does the commentary, but, you know, like if they want to get him in the ring and compete, I'd say they're going to save that for maybe Double or Nothing. That's what I think the latest they might do might have him wait to compete in the ring if they do it. But yeah, it's a genuine surprise, and, you know, again, it's one of those kind of surprises you don't get in wrestling anymore. Where it's like it just knocks your socks off, and you're like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. Because usually things get leaked, and when they get leaked, it's like, you know, it's hard to, you know, keep a secret, you know, nowadays, if you know what I mean. But anyway, though, let me know what your thoughts are on this, on the Big Show going to All Elite. What were your reactions when you first found out about it? How did you feel about it? Did it genuinely surprise you? And you know, how long do you think he will be there? I mean, long-term, multi-year is between 3 to 4 years, 3 years mostly, with a fourth year option, or fourth year being an option. So how long do you think it will be for him? Do you think it will just be 3 and then that's it? Or do you think he'll stay longer? Do you see him competing by Double or Nothing, or do you see him competing by maybe All Out or Fyter Fest? Let me know what your thoughts are. Comment down below. I'd love to hear what each and every one of you have to say about this. You know, because yeah, it's one of those moments that genuinely surprised us all. But let me know down below. Let me know in the live chat during the premiere. How did you feel when this happened? What was your reaction? And that's all I can say. So until next time, guys, God bless. Take care. I am out. Stay safe. Get vaccinated if you can. And that's all. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts were. And I am out.